Hello, everyone. I'm just going to give a minute so people can get on. Hello, good to see everyone tonight. Someone could please, I would very much appreciate, let me know that you can see me okay and hear me okay. That would be great. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Miss Paisley. Thank you so much for hopping on. Sound and camera good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Never want the technical difficulties to be the problem, but you never know. Good. Hi, Bonnie. Thanks for hopping on tonight. Good to see you. It's been a while since we've seen each other. Thank you so much for getting on. All right, just giving people another minute. I hope everyone's doing well. It's great to be live with all of you guys tonight. I'm very excited about the interview that we have tonight. This case has been a case that a lot of people are following. It's gotten a lot of national attention. And so I've got some a great interview lined up for us. I'm going to talk a little bit about the case as well. I hope you guys are ready, excited to hear more, excited to learn more about this case. I know there is a little bit of a delay, so I'm just giving YouTube a chance to kind of boot everything up and let people know we're on. So I went out and planted some flowers today, guys. I am ready for spring. I am planting flowers because I'm trying to bring the warm weather. I'm like, get some flowers planted, then the sun will surely shine. So I'm sure, like many of you, I'm ready for some warm weather, ready for springtime. So, okay, all right. Well, it looks like we're starting to pick up a few people, so I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Tonight, guys, we are going to be talking about the case of Suzanne Morphew, and I appreciate you all hopping on to hear about this. I try to really focus on cases that are sort of Midwest. You guys know Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota. I try to kind of keep an eye on cases in that area. This case is a case out of Colorado. I have actually been paying attention to it since very early on when Suzanne was missing. I had shared her picture that she was missing, and we were looking for her so that people could be sharing it on the page. At that time, of course, we were hoping for a happy, more positive ending than it appears we are going to get. But tonight we're going to update a little bit. Thank you so much. I appreciate so many of you saying it's good to see me. It's good to see you too. So thank you for hopping on tonight. I know everybody's busy, so appreciate you guys taking the time. So just very quickly, I'm going to just kind of review a couple things about the case. Then I'm going to bring on, I actually have two of Suzanne's good friends waiting right now in the wings to hop on with us. So just to review a little bit of information, I know a lot of you followed the case. May 10th, Suzanne was reported missing by a neighbor, Maysville, Colorado. It was reported at that time that she had gone on a bike ride and not returned home, and that her husband was working in Denver and was not there at the time that she had gone missing. Her husband, then Barry, did make a $100,000 reward looking for her. We're going to talk a lot about Barry tonight. Lots of interesting things about Barry. As many of you know, May 5th, he was arrested. And so I am going to bring on right now, I have Tisha and Dita. And okay, am I saying your names correctly? Tisha and Dita.
Dieta and Tisha.
Dieta. Thank you, Dieta. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for correcting me. So the two of you were good friends. And tell us a little bit about how you knew Suzanne.
I knew Suzanne through my salon that I used to work at. She used to come in there along with her family.
Okay. And when you say family, are you referring to Barry as well, that Barry also came into the salon?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Can you tell me, just from sort of watching a little bit, did you ever see them interact? Did they seem like they interacted in a normal way, friendly way? Anything you noticed about their interactions with each other?
They didn't come in together. She came in either with the girls or by herself.
Okay,
And
okay.
he didn't come in by himself.
Okay. And how would you describe Suzanne's personality and Barry's personality, just from them coming and going from the salon?
Suzanne's personality, she was always sweet and nice and everything, but Barry's personality is a little different. He's very, um, let's just say, he just moves very fast. He's always in a hurry.
Okay. I have read online in some places he's been described as a bit macho, sort of maybe narcissistic.
Yes.
Somebody said that he likes to flex his muscles and sort of be that kind of guy. Is that how, does that fit?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You were just being very kind. Okay. So how did you come to know that Suzanne was missing?
Well, obviously we heard somebody was missing. We didn't know who. And then a couple of were handing out flyers on that Monday, the day after Mother's Day, and they came into the salon and handed us a flyer, and we obviously knew who it was at that point. And then that's when we kind of got involved.
Okay. And so at that point, did you think that, did you have an opinion? Did you say, oh no, maybe someone's abducted her? I mean, did you have a theory when it first happened, what you first thought?
There was just a bunch of talk. And our town is very small. So it was a possibility of a kidnapping, very unlikely, I believe.
Okay. So did you hear whispering in the community? I know how small towns are. I've lived in small towns myself. There's always whispering and sort of a rumor mill. Was there some whispers and some rumors about Barry early on?
Absolutely. That was the number one thing that they thought happened.
Okay. Okay. So did you see, I know you guys have been a part of many searches and helped get pictures up and do things to help get her story out. Did Barry participate in those things?
He did not.
Okay. Did you find that the community really got involved and got engaged in the search?
Yeah, the community did. We actually have a lot more of people from out of town and out of state that gets involved in stuff.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So when you found out that Barry was arrested, what did you think?
It was, first, we didn't believe it because we've been told so many different times that, the FBI was at his house getting ready to arrest him. So it just didn't. And then we actually got a text message from our friend from Indiana who had got confirmation from Suzanne's brother that it was true.
Okay. So at first you thought everyone keeps saying it, but it doesn't happen. And so when it finally did, you thought it finally, oh my gosh, it finally happened.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What can you guys tell me about Suzanne as a mother? I know she has two girls. What kind of a mother do you think she was? Do you know anything about, did she talk about her kids? Did you hear much about the children?
Not really. From pictures and stuff, it looks like they were pretty close. The girls have came into the salon also. So I've chatted with them a few times, invited them to the stuff that we have been doing for Suzanne, and they declined also.
Okay, I'm sure. And I want to be very delicate with that because of their ages. I know this is very devastating for them and for their family. And so I just appreciate you guys sharing that a little bit. What do you think? Of course, Barry supposedly is claiming he's innocent and he's fighting this. I believe that he is at this point not accepting any responsibility. What do you anticipate is going to happen? Do you think that Barry will be offered a plea? What do you think is going to go from here?
I would hope that he was offered a plea that maybe he would tell us where her body is. But I think he's such a narcissist that he's not even going to admit that he did it.
Okay. Are people
Go ahead.
Are people continuing to search the area? Are there people still looking in this area for her?
There's a couple people coming to Salida and in the area and looking.
Okay. So the search is really still continuing and
Yeah,
hasn't really stopped.
right.
Okay. Very good. So I know that you had, Tisha, you had specifically made a plea to Barry. You said, Barry, please tell us where she is, please. Have you gotten any response? Have you heard anything back from Barry or anybody in his family after you made that plea?
No, absolutely not.
Nothing.
I don't
Okay.
anticipate getting any answers. I never got any answers from when I asked him to come to her vigil and asked him to come to her birthday party. So I wouldn't anticipate getting anything back from him.
Okay. So you made contact during the searches and said, Barry, could you please come?
Yeah, I've asked through another party that is very close to him to ask him if he would come, and he declined because he didn't want to be in the public eye.
Okay. That was the reason he gave you. He said, I don't want to be in the public eye.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. What do you guys think, Suzanne? What do you think happened? Do you have a theory that you've developed for what happened?
Not really. I mean, there's several different things that could have happened to her. But I don't really
I think
know.
he just kind of, I don't think it was pre-planned, but it might have been. I think he just kind of snapped.
Okay. What would be justice in your opinion? What would happen that you would say we have justice for Suzanne?
The biggest thing is finding her body and putting her to rest. I mean,
Right.
Whatever happens to him happens, but the biggest thing right now is finding her and putting her to rest with the rest of her, for her family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Has there been any other, I know you guys are headed somewhere. You told me you had very limited time. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Is there anything you've specifically seen in Barry that makes you say, this guy is guilty? Any behaviors, any statements that you've said, this guy is guilty because this is just too much?
His whole behavior from the beginning. I mean, offering a $100,000 reward for her safe return. That was a big thing right there. And then just selling everything that Suzanne had and everything else that he's done. I mean, not showing up to the vigil. It's for your wife that you said was just missing and kidnapped, but yet you didn't show any
Remorse
to come to a vigil. Her birthday was last Friday and nothing.
Seems like he just went on with his life.
Okay. Now I'm hearing some rumors and seeing that there is a woman that Barry has been spotted with numerous times. The same woman. She's being described as a redheaded woman that he is spending some time with. Are you guys aware of that? Have you seen anything like that?
He's been with her one time. Was one of Suzanne's really close friends. She came down to get some of Suzanne's stuff, so it's nothing.
Okay.
Between them two. Yeah.
So that's something that's taken on a life that you guys don't think is anything beyond just a very innocent. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Well, for the people that are going to watch this, what can the public be doing to help? How can we help with everything you guys are doing to help find Suzanne and to find justice? What can we do?
Just pray. I mean, pray that he, has time to think now behind bars and tells us where she's at.
Okay. Very good. Thank you guys again for taking the time. I know you had a limited availability for me. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're going to talk more about the case, but thank you so much for getting on with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, everybody. So I hope that was interesting for you guys to hear some things from these friends. They obviously know her through, they said, the salon. They both work at the salon that the family came and went from. Evidently, there is tanning there and a multitude of services. So the family was actually, Barry and Suzanne were both going there for not just hair, but for other things that they were doing, tanning and things like that. So I'm just going to go over a few things. I want to talk about, guys, my involvement. Like I said, I early on shared her story just as a missing person. But then a few months later, I had someone close to the case actually get a hold of me and send me a list of 50-some discrepancies, 50-some, between what Barry had said and what had happened. And they said, please look into this. Please look through this list. Please see that there is some big red flags here. I had been looking it over. I had been watching online, but at that point, nothing had happened yet. And so Barry had not been arrested. And so I had sort of been sitting on it. I do want to just very quickly, I am going to share with you guys. I want to make sure everyone has seen the Barry made a plea. I am going to just very quickly here, just give me 1 second, going to show.
Well, Suzanne, if anyone is out there that can hear this, that has you, please we'll do whatever it takes to bring you back. We love you. We miss you. Your girls need you. No questions asked. However much they want, I will do whatever it takes to get you back. Honey, I love you. I want you back. So bad.
Okay, all right. So Barry makes the plea, says, please return. Interestingly enough, one of the things that he alludes to in that is he alludes to almost like a ransom. And interesting that there actually was never a mention of a ransom. What was reported was that she'd gone on a bike ride and had not come home. And interestingly enough, Barry had made multiple different allegations as to what had happened. He's continued to sort of come up with some new ideas. Now, he was arrested for murder, tampering with evidence, and attempting to influence a public servant, which I think is interesting. I wonder what the dynamics of that is, that he tried to influence a public servant. There were 70 investigators that have worked this case, guys, 135 search warrants, and 1,400 tips that came in. And so this case has had a ton of information come in on it. I just want to chat briefly about Suzanne's background. She's 49 years old, mother of 2 girls. I didn't mention the girls when I was interviewing her friends. There's not been a lot about the girls, mostly because of people trying to respect their privacy. They are described as a young adult, college aged, as well as a teenage girl. So obviously very delicate for their family, what they're going through right now with losing a mother and having their father arrested. Suzanne was a 2-time cancer survivor, and everything I'm reading describes her as very pleasant, very sweet, very kind. They had only lived in Colorado since 2018. They'd moved from Indiana. And so, you know, even the 2 ladies I just interviewed had only known her for really a brief time because she had only been in Colorado for a couple years because of the fact that she had relocated. So a few things that have come up specifically regarding Barry. When I say Barry, it ain't looking good. It is not looking good. If Barry is innocent, he has his work cut out for him. Some of the things they've talked about is the fact that Barry very quickly started liquidating assets, selling Suzanne's car, selling real estate, getting power of attorney so he could sell real estate that was in her name. So he pretty quickly started liquidating assets. For that reason, when he was arrested, he was referred to as a flight risk. And the reason that was one of the reasons cited as a flight risk was because he had been liquidating assets, which made some people believe that he was trying to build up some cash. There had been numerous, there was a search done at their house, And interestingly enough, what was described was that Barry had actually gone and set up surveillance on his own house. He had put in game cameras and all of this additional surveillance on his house after Suzanne disappeared, so that when they were actually in his house raiding and looking, the authorities were that he could observe them, that he was watching them, that he had found a spot that he could sit and watch as his home was being raided. A little unusual. I brought up during the interview as well, when you talk about Barry's personality, it's like, what kind of a guy was this? He is described as very macho, liked to look at himself. There was a story told about him that he was riding in a convertible, driving a convertible, and he's flexing his muscles. He was described as having had a lot of girlfriends in the past. And so I think that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of the kind of person that Barry is. Maybe I sound like I'm being a little judgmental. This is opinions of people that have come in, but sounds like a guy that kind of thinks he's kind of hot stuff. They have 2 daughters together. There was actually a protection order that was issued, a no contact order between Barry and his girls, issued by the judge. And so at this point, there can be no communication between him or his daughters. The judge made that decision. So those ladies we just talked to did rule out one of my notes. One of my notes talks about the fact that Barry has been seen with a mystery redhead. There was some talk about who is this woman? Is it inappropriate? Is this lady related in some way to the disappearance, to Suzanne? And so what Tisha and Dieta just said is that it is someone that was a friend of Suzanne's, and they don't believe it's anything. So if you see that being spread online, I've read it in a number of places. It was in my notes that had been given to me. Sounds like we can rule that out if they have information that's accurate on that. Now, Barry was working in Denver when Suzanne disappeared. Barry evidently has a landscaping business. And so Mother's Day, she disappears. That's a Sunday. Of course, we just had Mother's Day. Saturday night, he had actually stayed at a hotel in Denver. So one of the most interesting things that was brought to me that I did not know was that actually the following day, one of the other coworkers or employees showed up at that hotel to stay there the following night. So Barry has it Saturday night. This other person shows up Sunday. They're going to stay at that same hotel Sunday night, and Barry's going to leave. What did that person say about the room? They said that the room smelled strongly of bleach or chlorine, and that there were insurance papers that were actually there. There was a pile of mail that Barry had in the hotel room that specifically were insurance information, insurance documents. Again, this is coming from the person that came into the room. Very unusual. I don't know how many people, when they stay at a hotel, have mail with them or have insurance documents with them, as well as the fact that he reported that the room smelled like chlorine. Very unusual. Now, we have to remember that we don't really know when Suzanne disappeared. We do know that Saturday night she texted with a friend, and we know that Sunday's Mother's Day and she has disappeared. But what the exact timeline of her disappearance is, we don't really know, because of the fact that supposedly no one was there. Barry's in Denver at the hotel room. Kind of strange, right? So we don't really know when she disappeared. Just kind of going through my list. So the many theories that Barry has given, I want to talk about. So he originally came out and talked about the fact that he believed an animal had attacked her. And he evidently very quickly started sharing this. He had actually called the church and told the church that something had happened, that an animal had attacked her, eaten her, done something to her. So that is theory number one that Barry comes out with, is an animal attack. The next one he then moved to. Now, keep in mind, then a few days later, they find the bike had been found, as well as the fact that now a personal item was also found in the area of the bike. There has been a lot of people that have said it's interesting that all of a sudden a personal item showed up. I think there's sort of rumors that maybe it was later placed there, that it was meant to throw off. It was not originally found. It was only found later, this personal item of Suzanne's. But at that point, he started talking about theory number 2, which is that someone had hit her by the road. So we got rid of the animals, and now we are saying maybe she was hit by someone. I think he was alleging that there'd been a hit and run or something like that. Theory number 3 then Barry moves to is that he believes that she is abducted. And of course, when we watch the video of him making the plea, he specifically says, you know, he kind of talks as if she might have been abducted. So he's saying, please, please, if you have her, please let her go. So that's theory number 3 of Barry. And number 4, he says, I think she had a run-in with someone who knows her well. So that ends up being the last theory that Barry gives. And of course, a lot of people have said, nobody knows you better than your husband. So when he says, I think she had a run-in with someone that knows her well, there certainly is an idea that maybe one of those people might be Barry. I mean, he says it, but definitely he knows her pretty well, right? So those are sort of the theories that Barry had put out there. I think, guys, obviously what's most important when we hear about this case is that the family and the friends want Suzanne to be found so that she can be laid to rest in a way that is respectful and proper, and have a burial. Evidently, they were religious because Barry had called the church about her disappearance. So they were obviously people that were spiritual people. And I think there's just a belief within the family and friends that she deserves to be put to rest with, you know, a burial that would be appropriate. Such a sad situation. I'm going to continue to follow the case. I will continue to follow up. I have some additional people that have been involved in this case that I'm talking to that are close by, that are saying that there is a lot more to offer. But I wanted tonight to just come out there and talk about a little bit more about what I know, where I'm at on this. I will continue to watch the case. I will continue to get additional information as I can get it. But at this point, it ain't looking too good for Barry. And Barry has called the FBI liars. And so he has not got a great relationship with law enforcement. Obviously, he believes he's been singled out, if that's the kind of statements he's making. But justice is starting to occur. It is innocent until proven guilty. And he has now, and everything is sealed as well. I am watching to see if the documents related to his arrest will be open to the public. So far, everything is sealed. So we have not been able to get a look at any of that stuff yet. But I'll continue to watch the case. Please continue to comment on the case. I will continue to bring additional information. I thank you all for tuning in. It's so good to see everyone. Appreciate everyone. And I hope you guys have a good rest of the night.